Oleado and the Waste of Beauty. Some time ago, in a green village called Lumumba, there was a long-standing tradition that dictated the essence of beauty. The villagers believed that a woman's worth and allure were measured by the slenderness of her waist. The more slender a woman's waist was, the more beautiful she was considered by the villagers. This ideal was so deeply ingrained that it influenced every aspect of life, from the selection of wives to the judgment of a woman's character. Young men sought women with the tiniest waist to marry, believing that such women would bring them happiness and prosperity. This tradition was so entrenched that no one questioned its fairness or validity. It was simply accepted as truth. Among the maidens of Lumumba lived a young woman named Oleado. Oleado was admired for her radiant smile, her intelligence, and her kind heart. However, there was one thing that set her apart from the other maidens. Her waist was fuller and wider than what was considered beautiful by the village's standards. Despite her many virtues, Oleado faced constant rejection from the men she wished to marry, especially this young man named Joma, who was known for his gentle smile and courageous spirit, but she could not approach because of the fear of rejection. Tired of keeping her feelings to herself for a very long time and watch her mates get married, she mustered the courage and approached him. But despite her confession, Joma rejected her because, just like the other men in the village, he was drawn to women whose waists were slim and delicate, and so he refused giving her love a chance with a polite excuse and blunt dismissals. "Your waist is too broad," he told her. "I seek a wife with the beauty of a slender waist." Joma's rejection was painful and made Oleado to wallow in more sadness. Oleado's heart ached as she watched days and days pass with other women finding suitors and building their families, while she remained single. Her attempts to find love from other men were met with laughter and scorn. The villagers gossiped about her behind her back, spreading rumors that her fuller figure was a sign of bad luck or misfortune. The news of her rejections was a topic on the lips of the married women of the village. They would gather at the village streams and murmur about how Oleado's appearance was a sign of her unworthiness. "Look at Oleado," they would say. "Her waist is far from the ideal. How could any man find her desirable?" But despite the increasing hostility and gossips, Oleado remained resilient. She continued to carry out her daily tasks with grace and dignity, having made her mind to move on. What was wrong if someone had a broader waist? She would ask herself, and continued eating as much fufu as she could. As time passed, the gossip about Oleado's appearance grew. The women of Lumumba, who were themselves proud of their slim waist, would whisper among themselves. They worried that their husbands might be tempted by Oleado's charm and kindness. They feared that the men might start questioning their own worth based on the narrow standards of beauty. One day, a group of these women held a meeting to discuss about Oleado. "If we don't do something, our husbands might start seeing her as a rival," one woman said anxiously. "Her waist is different, and that might make them wonder if we are truly the best choice," another added. "We must ensure she remains out of the way. Her beauty is not in her appearance, but in her spirit, and that is dangerous if left unchecked." With that, they decided to seek the help of a reclusive mystic, Kessie, who lived in a secluded hut surrounded by strange herbs and ancient charms, hoping to use her powers to ensure that Oleado would remain unattractive and unloved. They presented their case to the old woman, begging her to cast a spell that would make Oleado's waist appear even wider and less attractive. Kessie listened to their request with a solemn expression. "Jealousy clouds the heart," she said, "and I will only perform a spell if it serves a greater purpose." But despite her misgivings, Kessie later agreed to help the women. She prepared a potion and performed a ritual intending to cast a spell that would further isolate Oleado from the men of the village. As night fell, the mystic spell took effect. Unknown to the women, the potion was not merely a curse but also a test. When Oleado awoke the next morning, she felt an unusual energy in the air. As she looked into her reflection in the water of the village stream, she was surprised to see that her waist seemed even fuller than before. However, she did not feel disheartened. Instead, she felt a strange sense of strength and purpose. Little did she know, the mystic spell was also enchanted with the power to reveal one's true beauty in times of adversity. The curse the women intended to spread became a blessing in disguise. As Oleado walked through the village, the changes began to manifest in unexpected ways. The villagers at first laughed at Oleado's expanded waist, but soon something extraordinary happened. The spell caused a transformation that went beyond mere physical appearance. Oleado's demeanor became more radiant and graceful, and her presence exerted a magnetic charm that drew people to her. Noticing this, Oleado became happy and decided to use the newfound grace to her advantage. She devised a plan to seek revenge on the women and villagers who had mocked her before. She began to act in ways that drew the attention of the married men. Her newfound allure, enhanced by the magic, was irresistible. As the men gazed at her with admiration, they began to question their own marriages and the ideals they had been taught. One by one, Oleado approached the men of the village with her charm and wit. She encouraged them in conversations, drawing them into her world of kindness and wisdom. Her presence was enchanting, and she managed to subtly make the men reflect on their own marriages. The men, influenced by the charm, began to grow dissatisfied with their wives and their relationship, and also questioned the worth of their women. One after the other, they visited Oleado's hut, even at night, and stood on lines, each waiting for their turn to hand out their gift to her, and most often spent the night in front of her hut until she was awoke the next day. They even fought over her house chores in attempts to win her favor. Their wives, upon noticing the change in their husband's behavior, grew anxious. They saw their husband's newfound attentiveness to Oleado and feared that their marriages might be dissolved. The once loving gossips now faced the sting of Oleado's revenge. The women wondered what had happened, and not being able to get an explanation, returned to Kessie to ask what had gone wrong. Such wishes rarely bring good. "There is nothing I can do to help you," Kessie replied. The women returned back to the village with great regret and sorrow, hoping the spell would fade out in due time as stated by Kessie. for they could not muster the courage to confess to Oleado and the entire village about what they had done. Oleado's names continued on everyone's lips. Even the elders couldn't sit in their village meetings without mentioning of her and her irresistible nature. Men who were old enough to be her grandfather and once rejected her to be their daughter-in-law now admired Oleado but feared to approach her for fear of being rejected, and so they abandoned the chase for Oleado for their sons and grandsons. Meanwhile, despite her success, Oleado soon began to feel a pang of regret. She realized that her newfound charm had made her more of a puppet for others' emotion rather than an agent of her own happiness. She had used her charm to sow discord and dissatisfaction among the villagers, but she was left feeling hollow and unfulfilled. One night, as she looked at her reflection in the stream, she sighed deeply. The gods had given her what she wanted in terms of revenge, but it had taken away her peace of mind. She had caused pain and suffering instead of finding genuine love and joy. I wish, Oleado said softly to her reflection, that I could be normal again, to find happiness without the need for revenge. As Oleado returned back to the village, she found that their husbands had begun to see through the illusion of her enchantment and started to reconcile with their wives. The villagers were beginning to understand that true beauty and worth were not about physical appearance, but about the kindness and strength of one's character. Joma, who had been reflecting on his own beliefs, approached Oleado. He admired her not for her physical appearance, but for her courage and sincerity. Oleado, she said, I see now that you are more than what others see. I am sorry for the way I treated you. Oleado, despite being angry with him, at the end accepted his apology with grace. But she made it clear that she would not marry him out of pity or as a result of the spell's influence. Instead, she wished to build a genuine relationship based on mutual respect and understanding. The village of Lumumba slowly began to change. The people came to appreciate that beauty was not confined to the size of a person's waist, but was a reflection of one's actions and spirit. The lesson from Oleado's experience served as a powerful reminder that true worth lies within. Meanwhile, Oleado and Joma became close friends, and through their bond, they worked together to foster a new sense of unity and respect in the village. The story of Oleado's transformation and her journey from vengeance to forgiveness became a cherished tale told to each new generation. In the end, Lumumba was a village transformed. The villagers learned that beauty is more than physical appearance. It is found in one's heart and actions. Oleado lived the rest of her life with the respect and admiration she had always deserved, and her story became a symbol of true beauty and the power of redemption. Thanks for watching Oleado and her story, and if you enjoyed it so much, please click on my bell so you'll be the first to know when next I upload. Don't forget to like, share and comment. Until next time, thanks majesties.